This week on ANN, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in North America extends its sympathies to the victims of a mass shooting in the US state of Oregon.
The World Bank announces a major projection for the efforts to end global poverty by 2030.
And members of the Church's second highest governing body gear up for annual council.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in North America last week expressed its sympathy and prayed for the United States to address gun violence in response to a mass shooting that took place in the U.S. state of Oregon. On the campus of Umpqua Community College, a 26-year-old gunman killed 9 people and injured an additional 9 people before taking his own life. The shooter was said to have singled out Christians during the attack. In response to the shooting, Dan Jackson, president of the Adventist Church of North America, extended his condolences and prayers to the affected families. He went on to say, "It is time for our society to engage in open, honest, civil, and productive conversation about finding solutions to put an end once and for all to gun violence. We pray that this tragedy will bring about much-needed change and address the pandemic of gun violence." Reports indicated that the Umpqua shooting is the 45th school shooting that's taken place in the United States this year.
One of the 9 victims who was killed during the mass shooting at Umpqua Community College was 44-year-old Serena Moore, a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's been reported one of Serena's last posts on Facebook was an affirmation of her desire to stand up for Jesus and Christianity. Christian Martin, pastor of the Grants Pass Seventh-day Adventist Church, where Moore was a member, told the Adventist Review, "As a church, we are in shock, spending much time in prayer and also considering ways to support and comfort her 3 adult sons. She loved her 3 sons dearly." Al Reimke, president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Oregon, said tragedies like the mass shooting remind us to join together in prayer, that God will fill our hearts with a passion to share His love in a world that desperately needs Him. The Seventh-day Adventist Church in Oregon asked for members around the world to pray for Moore's family, her local church family, and the families affected by the tragedy.
This week, the World Bank, an international financial institution that provides loans to developing countries, announced that the world population of people living in extreme poverty is projected to fall below 10% by the end of the year. Findings reveal that efforts are closer to reaching the goal to end global poverty by 2030. Imam Mahatnat from the Adventist Development and Relief Agency shares the significance of the World Bank's report and shares how ADRA is addressing poverty.
As much as the news from the World Bank is good, we don't measure poverty by statistics, regardless if it's measured as $1.25 or $1.90 a day. As long as there's poverty, ADRA is still working. Our mission is to work with people in poverty wherever they are. We tackle smallholder farmers and local leaders to empower them to find local solutions to eradication of poverty. We, as the UN has just approved this SDGs, which number 1 on their list of sustainable goals is to eradication of extreme poverty, this remains our number 1 goal in ADRA.
Members of the denomination's Executive Committee are currently participating in the Seventh-day Adventist Church's annual council. The Executive Committee is the Church's second highest governing body that includes the Church's top leaders from around the world. This year's annual council is significant because it's the first meeting of the Executive Committee after a general conference session. Since many of the Church's leaders were newly elected during session in July, Annual Council will also be a time for the leaders to re-emphasise the strategic plan for the Church for the next 5 years to reach the world with God. Members of the Executive Committee will also elect or appoint leadership positions that were not filled during session. We will bring you a full report of Annual Council next week.
Nearly 35 deaf interpreters recently concluded the Adventist Church's first international course for interpreters for the deaf. The 3-day event was organized by the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Inter-Europe. One of the goals for the course was to introduce participants to the System of International Sign Language, or ISL, which allowed interpreters to communicate with each other through a common language. The There are more than 400 sign languages worldwide. Participants were given special training, especially in terms of physical care for interpreters. Corrado Cosi, deaf liaison for the Adventist Church in Inter-Europe, said, "This is something which we, who do hear, don't automatically think of for any speaker. The training that is mostly needed is in homiletics, but for an interpreter or even a deaf person to express himself, it's very important to be in good physical shape." Participants of the course also made plans for the 2016 International Congress for the Deaf and Deafblind.
More than 400 children in northern Colombia recently learned practical ways to embrace a healthy lifestyle through an annual Children's Ministries event. The event took place last month at the Columbia Adventist University in Medellin. Asenet Gomez, Children's Ministries Director for the Seventh-day Adventist Church in North Columbia, wanted to organise an event that incorporated the church's I Want to Live Healthy initiative, but wanted to have kids involved. She said, "We want our children to grow healthy now that they are very young, and not wait until they're adults to live healthier lifestyles." Children had an opportunity to visit different learning stations, to learn about 8 natural remedies for healthy living, then had the opportunity to share what they learned during a talent showcase. Organisers encouraged the children to share their new health knowledge with their friends. Church leaders are already in the works of having a healthy expo included in next year's event.
Church members in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area were recently encouraged to invite their friends to see a thrilling musical production about the Ten Commandments. The musical, Love at Work, took place at the Washington National Cathedral on October 5th. The event was produced by Heart and Soul International and supported by the world headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The production featured 14 Seventh-day Adventist recording artists from around the nation and special video testimonials that highlighted the love of God through His law. U.S. Senate Chaplain Barry Black served as the event's Master of Ceremonies. The program was written and created by Yolanda Innocent Palmer and Dr. Schubert Palmer.
Participants of a Seventh-day Adventist mission organisation last week had the opportunity to hear amazing stories of service during an annual event. Maranatha Volunteers International sent this report.
Maranatha Volunteers International opened its annual convention with a moment of prayer for the victims' families of the shooting that occurred the previous day at a community college located just 2.5 hours from the convention's venue. In spite of the proximity in space and time, while one event recalled what can be the worst of mankind, the other celebrated the efforts of people that love others, providing water wells, schools, and churches in the world's needy areas. Stories were told from several regions of the world about Maranatha's impact, both in the lives of those who received the benefits as well as in the lives of those who have contributed over the 46 years of the organization's history. Danny Polyak, with many years in the construction industry, said that other buildings that he constructed might last 20, 60, maybe 100 years, but the results of churches and schools built by Maranatha are eternal. Makoshiwanke Moyo stated that in Zimbabwe and Malawi, schools built by Maranatha's volunteers are among the best in each country, and the wells now bring water for the whole community, transforming the churches into centers of influence. Gilberto Araújo, who for many years served the Adventist Church in Africa and is now going to serve in a predominantly Muslim area, recalled the meeting's theme, agreeing that we are already nearing home. But before that, there are 500 million people in the Middle East needing to hear this message. Presidents from 2 Brazilian unions came to say thank you for more than 600 churches already built in their territory. Ayrton Kohler, South America Division's president, stated that as this world walks to its end, Maranatha has a key role to accomplish. Other leaders of the church in Africa and Asia also brought their gratitude and expressed challenges for the future.
According to the organization's report, Maranatha has received more than 180,000 requests for church and school buildings from countries all over the world in just the last few years. Hillary Macias from Portland, Oregon in the United States to ANN.
Earlier this year, we reported on record flooding that took place in the nation of Serbia. Since then, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency in Serbia created a program to address the psychological needs of residents who are still recovering from the devastating storm. Azure Serbia sent this report.
Grad Paraćin, koji se nalazi u centralnom Pomoravlju na oko 160 km južno od Beograda, u maju 2014. godine izlivanjem reke Crnice pretrpeo je katastrofalnu poplavu. Nema pisanih tragova da je ikada bilo teže, iako su delovi grada poplavljeni i 1969. godine. U samom Paraćinu živi oko 25.000 ljudi, a tokom poplave manju ili veću štetu pretrpelo je, po zvaničnim podacima, 3.758 objekata.
Kažu da je bol privatniji od misli. Misao može da podeliš, ali bol sa drugim ne možeš. To ponavljam sebi od kad smo sa drugima došli u Paraćin da pomognemo ljudima koji su preživjeli šta su preživjeli. Samo oni mogu da razumeju kako je to. Negdje na spoju predloga i njihove spremnosti i hrabrosti da krenu i u to, u sred borbe koju su tad imali pred sobom, to da se oporave, da se prikupe. Što smo zajedno stvorili nešto što se zove psihosocijalna podrška, o čemu se radi sve vreme u ovoj priči. Drago nam je što je to preraslo u nešto što nije samo jedni pružaju podršku, korisnici s druge strane, već ta ekipa sjajnih ljudi koji su preživjeli poplavu i želeli da ulažu u sebe i u svoje porodice i na ovaj način, kroz učešće u psihološkoj podršci. Što to ide prema tome da oni budu nezavisni, da budu ne korisnici, već građani koji su naučili, koji uče, da budu jedni drugima podrška. Da saosećanje i solidarnost pokazuju jedni prema drugima. I ako smo uspeli u tome i dali neki temelj za to, u toj meri smo srećni.
And finally in the news this week, more than 500 pathfinders in Taiwan braved a typhoon and heavy rain to attend a camporee in the southern region of the nation. Lay leaders, who were trained by youth ministries of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Taiwan, led out various activities during the Good Soldier of Jesus Christ camporee. During the event, Kim Nak Hyun, youth director for the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the Northern Asia Pacific region, told the youth to be a good and strong soldier of Jesus Christ, be armed with the Word of God, prayer and mission, and march toward the end of the world so that we can hasten the second coming of Jesus. Church leaders are planning to have another territory-wide camporee in Taiwan again in 2 years.
Coming up, an exclusive commentary on mental health awareness. You don't want to miss it.
My brother's unexpected death shocked me into changing my life. A friend of mine said, "Why don't you do a triathlon?" So I swam and rode and ran until I discovered life is more than just human strength. I race because my health matters. I believe because my faith matters. I'm Ed, I'm a Christian. I am an Ironman, and I've discovered my whole life matters.
Welcome back. The World Health Organization designated Saturday, October 10, as World Mental Health Day. This year the focus is on raising awareness of the thousands of people around the world who are deprived of their basic human rights due to their mental illness.
I sat down with Dr. Peter Landless, Director of Health Ministries for the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and his Associate Director, Katja Reiner, to discuss dignity in mental health and much more. Thank you both so much for joining us today on this very important topic. Now, when we speak about mental health and mental illnesses, we're talking about more than just depression, right? What are we talking about?
When we talk about mental health, I think we talk, so often people stigmatize it and think that it's not being normal, not being well, not being mentally capable. It's not that. It's emotional well-being. It's mental health is thinking right, feeling well, having a feeling of self-worth, having your emotions well cared for. And we all are relational beings, created for relationships. And when we have that in balance, we're very happy. Of course, there are organic reasons often that people are not that way. And we need to understand that when that kind of situation arises, it's not the individual not doing what they should be doing, but often there are chemicals which are not balanced, and there are often genetic issues. So we need to understand that when we talk mental health, we're talking something which is as important, and in fact, mental health issues are becoming the most common cause of disability. And already by 2015 and by 2020, it's going to be the leading cause of disability in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's important to see that it's not just a all or nothing. Mental health is something in a continuum. All of us have it in mental illness. We're all susceptible to, depending on our experiences that we face. So,
Those are shocking statistics, but it's really important to emphasize how widespread, it is. So this year's theme for World Mental Health Day is Dignity with Mental Health. What does that mean?
that is wonderful. Every year that we have that October 10th, first Sabbath or day being World Mental Health Day. And this year the topic, as you said, is dignity among people who have mental illness. And that's so key because, there's a lot of stigmatization, a lot of discrimination that adds to the burden for people who have mental illness or who experience symptoms. And so this is about helping people see that this is a disease like any other and they have dignity as any other person who suffers from any other kind of illness. And so really bringing people the notion that they can have self-worth regardless of that diagnosis, and that we should be able to accept them without labeling them, oh, this is a mentally ill. No, they have a mental illness just like they have cardiovascular disease.
Nobody's ashamed to say I had my appendix out, but they are concerned to say, well, I have anxiety, depression, bipolar, or whatever it may be. We need to be aware of that.
Right. So what can we do to improve our mental health? And furthermore, if we see a friend or a coworker, family member who's exhibiting signs of mental illness, what can we do to help?
Some of the ways to work on mental health wellness is to look at our physical lives, the way we live, our choices, our lifestyle. Exercise is important. Regular exercise has been shown to be one of the features that decreases the amount of depression. Being well and also doing regular exercise in individuals who have even Alzheimer's disease and dementia, if you keep fit and well, it decreases the progression.
Yes, and additionally also, how do we, when we face the problems in life, how our attitude when traumatic experiences happen, when stress is coming close to us, how do we deal with that? The relationships that we nurture, because social support is another thing that we know it's important. So self-regulation, which has to do with improving our brain function, things that we can do to improve memory as well as capacity to think and clearly. So all those things besides these important factors.
And sleeping adequately.
Yeah,
adequate rest and careful use of devices. The use of the overuse of the connectedness, the iPhones, the iPads, the Androids and all those things, late at night, not getting good sleep, disturbed sleep architecture, all of those things militate against having really good emotional and mental health.
Right, and probably seeking a professional to
particularly, that's very important. I was particularly not only for ourselves, but for people we know of, as you mentioned, so important to help direct them to health professionals who are able to help them.
Now, Health Ministries next year is sponsoring a conference on this very topic on mental health.
So excited about that, and I want Katja, who's been really leading the team of the 3 divisions in America, North America, Inter-America, and South America. Tell us about it.
It's wonderful. We're going to have our first Emotional Wellness Summit in Orlando in January 13th through 17th, again as this tri-division effort to bring this issue to the forefront here in the Americas at least. We're of course open to anybody in the world who would like to come. And we're going to focus on dealing with or facing trauma and resilience that we need to be able to face those situations, how that is linked to mental health. We're going to talk about partnerships that we should have in a community to improve the mental health not only of our own members but also make an impact in the community. We'll talk about improving brain function as well as how everyone in ministry should be involved, from pastors to youth to women to health ministries to families, anyone in a comprehensive health ministry kind of framework.
Where can they learn about it?
So this would be at www.emotionalwellnesssummit.com. That's where, that's our website, and registrations are open. We only have a limited amount of spaces for people to come, but we hope to have many people register as soon as possible.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We'll be right back with our weekly features.
I felt so torn inside having to say goodbye to my family and my friends. I had actually started looking for various places to live, but I knew it would be very difficult for me to adjust. And yet I knew I had to trust God. I knew that wherever He sent me, He would be my home. He took my pain and used it for His gain. My name is Carla, and my prayer was answered.
Welcome back. Willie Huck shares a preview of the lead article for Ministry Magazine's November issue.
For centuries, theologians and others have debated the role of Israel throughout history to the present. What about the promises and prophecies? Do these address literal Israel or spiritual Israel? How should one interpret Scripture to know if there is a difference? In the lead article for November, Kim Papaioannou tackles Romans 11 and other passages to explain the meaning of the phrase, "All Israel will be saved." In our quest to provide practical resources as well as theological stimulation, we also tackle a pastoral situation that, although common, is rarely addressed. Every church takes on a life of its own, but during the time when a church finds itself without a pastor, when it is between pastors for whatever reason, the issues that often lie dormant during a pastor's tenure can often rise to the surface in his or her absence, and such issues can threaten to undermine the local church's potential. Such situations provide opportunities for skilled interim pastors to take the helm and steer the ship. Far from overseeing a time of inactivity, the interim pastor can provide stability and objectivity. As Drexel Rankin states in his article, the service of the interim pastor is temporary, but temporary does not mean partial. During his or her tenure, when properly executed, the service rendered by an interim pastor can pave a potentially rugged road, making the path for the incoming pastor smoother and easier to navigate. There are other fine articles in the November issue of Ministry, including one from theologian and church historian Michael Campbell, celebrating the life of Jan Hus, martyred for his faith 600 years ago in 1415. Hus's fidelity in the face of death still teaches us lessons on how to live today. As always, we pray you will be blessed as you read this issue.
It's official. The president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church is now on Facebook and Twitter, and he is ready to answer your questions. Angela Taipei has more for this week's social media report.
This week, people from all around the world connected online directly with the Seventh-day Adventist World Church President, Ted Wilson, for the very first time. On October 1st, Pastor Ted Wilson joined Facebook and Twitter to communicate more effectively and directly with church members. As soon as he got on social media, hundreds extended a warm welcome on his page. Within the first week, over 20,000 people had followed the world leader online, and the number continues to grow. For his first post, Pastor Wilson shared a video describing what he envisions for his social media presence. Take a look.
Greetings and welcome to my Facebook page. You know, social media is a fascinating way to connect, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you some of the wonderful ways that I see God working through people just like you around the world. You know, as I travel, I'm absolutely amazed as I see God's hand at work in the lives of people. From time to time, I also plan to share with you some of my own personal devotional thoughts and favorite quotes, as well as some behind-the-scenes moments, such as when our 9 grandchildren came to visit my office. You can imagine what that might have been. Also, I look forward to hearing from you how God is working in your area, in your local church, and in your life. In addition, each week I'll be answering some of your questions. You can send those questions to me at askpastorwilson@adventist.org. Now again, that email address is askpastorwilson@adventist.org. You know, friends, I really believe that Jesus is coming very soon. And I look forward to the positive spirit we share as we encourage one another with the great things that God is doing in your life, in my life, and in His church. Once again, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. May God bless you today. Maranatha.
And now let's turn to Benjamin Baker for a look at Adventist history. This week, learn about baptismal firsts in Guyana, Paramaribo, and Tokyo.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. 7 days brimming with pioneer baptisms. On October 4 in 1897, Elam Van Dusen conducted the first Adventist baptism on the island of Wakenam, located at the mouth of the Essequibo River in present-day Guyana. Those first Adventists were a family of 5 and a minister, all Native American. 40 years later, the 10 believers you see here were baptized in Bluefields, Nicaragua, on October 5, 1937. They were brought to Christ through the efforts of Delroy and Maud Andrian, and the dedicated church members who assisted them. This week holds yet another first in the Inter-American Division, this time in Paramaribo, the capital of Suriname. It was there on Sunday, October 6, 1968, that the first ever Adventist tent effort was held in the capital city. Roughly 500 were present, and Speaker Antonio Brandon proceeded to proclaim the third angel's messages 6 nights a week for 2 months. As a result, 40 souls were baptized on November 23 of that year, with 9 more added the next Sabbath. On October 10 in 1872, Hide Kuniya was born in Ibaraki, Japan. Baptized in 1899 in the Maguru River in Tokyo by American missionary W.C. Granger, Kuniya was one of the first Japanese converts to Adventism and went on to become the first ordained to the Seventh-day Adventist ministry. He was a super pioneer, not only effectively spreading the gospel in Japan, but introducing the message in North and South Korea. After over 60 years of ministerial service, Kuniya died in 1962, just shy of 90. And that's This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, join our global conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can connect with Adventists worldwide through more stories, photos, and videos. Visit Facebook/Adventist News, Twitter @Adventist Church, and Instagram @Adventist Church.
Our good news for this week comes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 3. In it, the prophet speaks of the Lord saying, "You will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you."
That's our program for this week, and remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.